What's up guys, Dylan here from Veteran Aquatics, and today I have an awesome DIY project for you. Today we are going to build our own sponge filters. Believe it or not, they're probably 50% cheaper than any ones you can buy in a store, and they're actually really easy to make. But before we go ahead and get started, make sure to hit that like button and smash the subscribe button. We're getting close to 500 and I'm really excited, and I want to do something really special for 500 subs. So make sure to hit the subscribe button, and as always, I'll see you in a minute. So today, we're going to build our own sponge filter. Before we get started, let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to need to get started. The first thing you're going to need is a length of PVC pipe. I'm going to use 3/4 inch PVC pipe. That's generally speaking what your standard sponge filter will have. Right? So I got a 5-foot length of this from Home Depot, and it cost me about $3.25. And this is going to be able to make probably 6 or 7 sponge filters. So we have our PVC, and we're going to need our sponge. So depending on where you look, you're going to find different grade of sponges. The coarser the grade, generally the better, especially with something like a sponge filter. So I'm not actually using aquarium sponges. What I am using is a gas tank sponge from Speedway Auto. The reason being is, 1, they're not treated with any chemicals, so it's aquarium safe. 2, it's already very coarse, so it works out great. 3, it's very, very cheap. I think I paid oh man, I can't even remember. I ordered 4 of these, and with $20 in shipping, it came out to about 50 bucks. Alright, so I'll put links down to that down in the description as well, so that way you guys can find it. It came really fast. It probably took 3 days, and it was here. Each one of these lengths is 4 inches, 6 inches, and I'm going to go ahead and say 16 inches long. Alright, so if I cut it into 4-inch blocks, that gives me enough to make 4 sponge filters per block. I have 4 blocks, 16 sponge filters for about 50 bucks. Alright, the next thing we're going to need is the end cap. So you can buy the rounded end caps that go on PVC, or you can buy these Apollo Pecs. They are black and they are flat. And that's going to be important later when we go to weight it down, but it's flat on the bottom. Alright, and these were about $4.80 for 5 of them, so we'll just assume $1 each. Okay? You're going to need a pair of PVC cutters. These aren't the super fancy pressure ones, these are just pressure and twist. Alright? Now you don't have to have it, because there is a way to do it without it, and I'm going to show you how. But you may want an elbow depending on what you like aesthetically, kind of how you want it to look. But we'll go over why that's important later. Alright? You're also going to need some GE1 aquarium safe silicone. That is if you want to do it with a base. So we'll talk about that when we get there, but the way I'm going to do it, I won't need it, but I will show you what you would need silicone for. Alright? Give me 1 second. We're also going to need a drill, and we'll be right back. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is we need to cut our tubing. So bear in mind that this sponge, being about 6 inches long, we're going to want a little bit of room for the air stone and the air line. So I've already marked a spot, so we're just going to go ahead, we're going to put some pressure, and we're going to turn. Very easy. If you were wondering, this PVC pipe cutter was about 10 bucks at Home Depot. Super sharp, works super good, nice clean cut. Right? So we have our piece of PVC. The next thing we need to do is cut our sponge. So like I said, I want to do about a 4-inch wide section. This is about 6 inches tall. Alright, so this stuff cuts super easy. Just take a regular kitchen knife, no problem. Done. Sponge. Alright. Next, this has to fit down in the sponge. Now if you have a hot knife, you can just kind of go down through the middle. I do not. I'm just using a kitchen knife. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to make kind of like a plus sign or a cross dead center. right? And what that's going to do is give us room for our PVC to kind of go down in there. And you may have to do it more than once. You may want to make sure that it passes all the way through. But what we're looking to do is be able to shove this down into the sponge. Now if we have a nice tight fit, that is best. The tighter it is, the less likely it is for the sponge to slip off the PVC. Right, now we need it to poke through the end. It's not quite poking through the end here, so we're just going to cut a little bit more. And boom. Alright, so now we fitted it on here. It's on there. Right, it's not going to look so bad. I couldn't find black PVC. I know there is black irrigation line, so you can use that. But this is a nice tight fit. Right, this is actually pretty hard to get off. And the next thing we're going to do, now these plugs, these Apollo PEX 3/4 inch plugs, flat bottom, and they're barbed, so we don't have to worry about siliconing these in. They are a nice tight fit. Right? You can see it right there. These aren't going anywhere. Okay? We don't have to do anything to keep this there. It's not going anywhere. The next thing we're going to do is our drill. So the size holes that I am drilling, this is a 3/16 drill bit. Right? And what we're going to do is just drill. They don't have to be anywhere in particular. But I'm going to drill through both sides so that way it's nice and uniform. Generally speaking, the more holes the better. Remember, this is a 6-inch tall block of sponge, so we're not going to want to go more than 6 inches. So we could just shake out the extra plastic, and we can see here that we've got plenty of holes dug in there. Alright? Now, I told you before that we may or may not need the elbow. If I can just find where I set the elbow down. So the reason is this. When we stick an airline down in here, there's nothing to hold the airline in. What we could do is put this 90-degree elbow on here, drill a hole through the top, and that will hold the airline in. We're going to want to use I'm going to use the same drill bit. That should give a nice snug fit for the airline. Alright? That way we don't have to worry about the airline just coming out or the airstone coming out with the bubbles and the pressure. So we're just going to take our drill, just dead center. Just going to drill our hole there, and the airline will sit in there nice. Alright, so we have our sponge that we cut. Like I said, we just have to make kind of a plus sign in it with a knife that will allow us to kind of jam this in here with a super tight fit, which is nice because then we don't have to worry about it coming out ever. Right, and you can see the last hole right there, and the sponge just barely covers it. So we didn't mess up in terms of length. So that's good, and this is kind of what it's going to look like. Right? It's going to just kind of sit in there like that. The bubbles are going to come out of here. It's going to be awesome. Now, here is where you may or may not want silicone. So this base, right, this is not heavy, this will float. There are a couple of things we can do to make it sink. We can take something like a ceramic tile or a piece of slate. We can silicone it to the bottom of this, and what you would generally do is silicone the base piece to the piece of slate or to the tile and let that cure for about 24 hours so it's stuck on there good. You would put all this together and then just sit it flat. The other thing we can do is weight the sponge filter with gravel. So if you're like me, you probably have a ton of gravel that you're never going to use. I just literally have a bucket sitting right over there. So what I'm going to do to weight this down is I'm going to put about 1 inch of gravel in the bottom of this. Right? That should weigh it down enough to where it just sits flat on the bottom of the tank, just like this, and we don't have to worry about anything. So let me go ahead and get that. Now I told you before that you didn't have to have the elbow in it. What you can do instead of the elbow is drill a hole on the side here, kind of at an angle, and that will keep the airline in there. That will save you even more money because at that point you don't even have to buy the PVC elbow that we are going to use. I have decided to use the PVC elbow just because I kind of like the way it looks better. It's a little bit cleaner in my opinion, and it's just, you know, an aesthetic thing. So we drilled the hole so we can fit our airline tubing in there. We want it to be snug, but we don't want it to be so tight that it can't, you know, let the air flow through it. So you may find that the drill bit that I was using is a bit small, so we're just going to have to hollow this hole out just a little bit. Alright, so that hole's a little bit bigger now, and we should be able to just kind of stuff our airline tube through it. If we can't, then we just need to make it a little bit bigger. This tubing, this is top fin tubing. Usually I use the black tubing from Aquarium Co-op. This is a little bit thicker than what I'm using. So I had to go up a drill bit size to get this to fit. The smaller bit that I used to drill the holes just wasn't cutting it. So we're just going to thread this through the top. Now, like I said, it should fit tight. You want it to fit tight because you don't want the airstone or the airline coming out. These are Never Clog airstones. I got these from Aquarium Co-op. These things are great. Just like their namesake, I've never had one clog. They're really cheap too, like $2 each, so totally recommend. I will put the link for that down below as well. Right, then we're just gonna stick that down in the tube. By the way, guys, if you go any smaller than 3/4 of an inch, you're not going to be able to fit an airstone in this. So we kind of want it to sit as close to the bottom as possible. Get a nice tight fit on that. And we'll just cut our airline when we go to hook it up. But yeah, so this is pretty much what it's going to look like. And I'll break down the total cost at the end, but these things are super cheap. And with the amount of tanks I have, and I know a lot of other folks that are looking for solutions for multiple tanks, something like this that you can build, the cost to it's close to like $4, right? And like a standard one you buy at Aquarium Co-op or something like that, you're looking at anywhere between $9 and $15. On Amazon, you can get higher end ones that'll run you like $20, like double sponge filters and stuff like that. But if you're looking to do a lot of filters on a budget, $4 or I think it's like $3.83 a filter, you really can't beat that. You know, for a multiple tank solution, or even if you just want to DIY everything in your fish room, this is a super great option. You know, sponge filters, they work great. This sponge is going to work wonderfully for it. It's just about as coarse as a good quality sponge filter. It's a nice solid chunk of it. It's going to sit flat, right? And it doesn't look too bad. Now you can get black PVC or black irrigation line if you really like black. But overall, this was super easy. It, you know, took me 5 minutes to make this. I could make all of them in about an hour. So that's awesome. Like I said, I'll put links down below in the description box. Let me go ahead and get this running in a tank so you guys can see what it looks like running in action. So that's what it looked like, guys. full transparency, the gravel did not end up weighting it down enough. If you were to leave more of a space at the bottom so you could use more gravel, it may work. If you use larger PVC, it may work. For this particular one, it did not. I had to silicone a piece of slate to the bottom. So that brings the cost of this one up to about $5.20, which still isn't bad, but that's considering the slate and the silicone. But it's working great. There's plenty of air going through it. It's not floating away or anything like that. Like I said, it's kind of a nice coarse sponge. As opposed to something like this, which is really fine sponge, this will do a much better job sucking up debris and particulates in the water. So yeah, but that's it, guys. So if you like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm going to end up doing a lot more DIY filtration videos. Definitely looking to save as much money as possible. I have some big tanks that we're going to be running some good filters on. And with the amount of acreage at the new place, I'm probably going to end up doing a pond, so that'll be something else entirely. But that's it, guys. That's a DIY sponge filter. Real cheap, real easy, really effective. And if you were wondering how all the cichlids that I got from my friend Chris are doing, they're doing phenomenally. Everybody's eating, everybody's fat and happy, nobody's fighting. There are too many fish in here for them to pick on one another. Overstocking does work. Right, the water's a little bit cloudy, but they are due for a water change. And my big fella, Fluffy up there, likes to unplug his sponge filters multiple times a day, so I have to come in here and make sure he's not suffocating himself. Fortunately, he's the only thing in a big tank, so it would take a long time. But he loves to play with stuff. I've sat here and watched him for hours, just moving plants around and moving the filters around. I was thinking about getting some ping pong balls and putting them in the tank for him to play with. He likes to splash around at the top. But I'm definitely going to take out the sponge filters. He keeps unplugging them, and I'm just concerned, you know, when I add more fish to his tank, or even if I leave him by himself, that he's going to end up unplugging it. I'm not going to catch it fast enough, and something bad's going to happen. So to avoid that, I'm just going to put another canister on it, and he'll be good to go. But that's it for today, guys. Thanks again so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe for future content, and I will see you next time.